Are we on?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. Welcome, everybody, to the Economic Development Committee. It's Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we called the meeting to order at 6. Why don't we start over here and we'll introduce ourselves for the public.
Good evening, Peter Ames, Vice Chair of the Recreation Commission. Jay McCarr, National Regional Planning Commission.
Peter Plansky, School Board Rep.
Jeremy Robitaille, Secretary of Planning Board.
Kimberly Queenan, Selectmen's Rep.
Connie Jackson, Public Rep.
Marion Colby, Heritage Commission.
Kim Kleiner, Town Administrator.
Great. All right, so the public input. Let's see, we usually don't start that till about 15 minutes after the fact, so I'm going to hold off on public input until at least 6:15. All right, so we have a different meeting today, based on, not just our usual month-end meeting, because Jay was available, right? Number one, Jay was going to come in for the planning board tonight anyway. But then the planning board was canceled, right? So Jay ended up coming in anyway. And we appreciate that. So
Thought he had a day off for a second there.
right. So we figured he was coming in. Hey, could we utilize that? So we appreciate you coming in. All right. So let's get to business. So focus group planning session only. And we're going to talk about the following items: date and time, the method of facilitation. We can talk about ideas about that. The facilitator or facilitators, draft questions that we have, and presentation of materials and data. All right, so let me see. I'm going to go back into the agenda here. We don't have minutes this week. We're going to do them at the end of the month like we normally do because this is a special meeting, so we'll wait on that. All right, I guess they are here. Somebody stuck them in. Did that change since I spoke with you?
What?
The minutes for the 20th?
I didn't put the minutes in that.
I don't know. Am I in the right thing? I'm going to go up past them. All right. So, am I in the right one? Give me 1 second, please. Let me go to July 16th. There it is. Sorry.
It's 15
There we
pages,
go. All right. So, I may hand this off to our Town Administrator, Kim Kleiner, because there's a lot of items here, if you scroll down in the portal, that are done. And we can see some of them up on the board here. So do you mind, and Jay, giving us an update on these first, I guess there's 7 items here, but do you mind giving us an update on that?
Sure.
Great, thank you.
So on the June 26th meeting, there was a number of takeaways and assignments that were asked to be completed. One was the posting of the tax maps on the website. That has been completed. So there is a tab under community that says Litchfield tax maps. All of the tax maps that are prepared by NRPC have been posted there, as well as the table of contents. Then we were asked to get a new zoning map, which NRPC prepared for us, and you can see it there on the right-hand side. That is the new zoning map that has also been posted to the website, and it's in your portal. Then there was updating the website with a link to the Economic Development Committee portal. That has been done. It's been posted on the Economic Development page. Of course, we set tonight's meeting, and then we sent a communication to all of the survey respondents, letting them know about tonight's meeting, as well as giving them the minutes to the last meeting and the link to the portal. So I'll let Jay speak to the GIS map with the buildable and then the build-out numbers. I'm not quite sure where. I know we had spoken to NRPC about updating the build-out numbers and the land use chapter of the master plan, and then preparing a GIS map with what land is buildable versus what is,
So I can jump in on that. So, of course, that's going to take a little bit of time. It's a little bit nuanced, but 5 and 6 really go together. So doing the build-out analysis, the first step is to lay out, basically identify all of the undeveloped land and put the constraint overlay, which is wetlands. In Litchfield primarily, it really isn't steep slopes. It's wetlands more than anything. And when we identify the land that's buildable, of course, it's not just what's vacant, it's pulling out from vacant anything that is constrained in another way, such as conservation land. So that's a bit of an iterative process. I feel bad because I'm taking like a seat for a real person. So that's a process we'll be kicking off this summer. We haven't really started it yet, but we will be kicking it off this summer. And then the next step is doing a little bit of scenario planning, if you will. So once you've got your vacant, unconstrained land, you've got to make some assumptions about what the future looks like. Is that all going to be, if it's residentially zoned, is it all going to be residentially developed or not? Is all the commercial land going to be commercially developed? Realistically, probably not. That's probably the biggest question mark, if you will, because I think, as you probably know, if you're looking up at the zoning map, we have very, very large areas of undeveloped, or I should say, commercial land that's in agricultural use. So what assumptions are we going to make? Is everything that you see down there in Southern Commercial District going to be developed commercially in the reasonable future? Probably not. So that's going to be the iterative part where we have to say, okay, this is our unconstrained land, this is how it's zoned. What do we think realistically is going to happen? So that's kind of the last stage. So I think our starting point will be just identifying the land. This is what could happen if everything was built out. Then what do we think realistically? We're going to see whatever, pick our horizon line, 2030, 2040, or, what we think makes sense. And then the last part, and this isn't necessarily everything that the committee necessarily wants to do, what if we make changes? What if we decide to change zoning? What if we decide to change basic zoning requirements? What does that look like? And I don't know that we want to do that, but that's also kind of a part of the process that we could undertake. My guess is the biggest question would be really, and I don't know if there's an appetite for even thinking about that in this committee, are there zoning changes ultimately that this committee would like to see, or would like to see what would happen if. So that's just something to think about. But in the meantime, I would say the base information we could have probably over the next 6 weeks or so. 6 to 8 weeks, I would guess. I'm promising, of course, for other people.
and I did, so town council and I met today, and we have, communicated with the real estate department for the state of New Hampshire. So I hope to have some information for the Board of Selectmen at your next meeting, which will be August 16th, as there will be no meeting this coming Monday on that commercial land from the circumvention highway.
Which is a lot of land.
How much land?
It's got to be a couple hundred acres.
200 acres.
It's, so there was I believe I gave a list to this board at the last meeting. If not, I can send out. We've pulled all the deeds, we've reviewed all the deeds, we've done a deep dive history on all the parcels. So we're cataloging all that and putting it together in a binder for
Mhm.
the board.
Does that include the land with the questionable, with the issues on the title?
Yes, it does. Yes, council's reviewing that.
And you have you hired, I just want to understand the GIS part. You have a team, it says here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, all right.
On
So
staff.
two,
They're
I know
not-
you hired somebody new, right?
Oh,
Grade
yeah,
or
we
some
did,
daughter.
relatively, yes.
Right.
So, I mean, right now, we've got 4 people.
Okay. Only because you said it, you had the GIS team here.
Yeah, we're kind of
assigned.
GIS heavy,
Okay.
but they do a lot of traffic stuff. They do a lot of transportation stuff.
Okay, so, good. So you have a, I don't know if I want to jump ahead, but if you scroll down on the portal, it looks like we had back in 2015, this, everybody can see this, what the build-out was back then, right? There's nothing new, but I guess stay tuned for new numbers for 2024.
Yeah, that's pretty much what you'd be looking at.
Mhm.
You'd be looking at something very, very similar to this, but obviously updated.
Yep. And this will go in one of the master plan chapters, I'm assuming.
Yes, land use.
I don't know if you want to see that. No, okay, you can have that. All right, so, does anybody have any questions on 1 through 6? Or I guess it's really 1 through 7, there's a couple number ones there, but any big difference on this map here compared? It looks like more notes in the middle of the red, I mean, just generically.
No, it should be exactly the same. We haven't made any zoning district changes in recent years.
All right,
I mean, you've got,
A little bit of
you're
red.
showing some different things, just in terms of the legend, and you've kind of got the pie chart up there, but the actual map is the same.
nice. Okay. So.
And does everybody know about Industrial Drive and what was planned there? Came up with the planning board recently? Oh, I can show you one in a minute. So when circumferential was laid out, the plan was that this was going to be an industrial development, of course. And so right here, there is a right-of-way that was set aside for what was called Industrial Drive. And years ago, the concept was that Albuquerque was going to do this, there's right-of-way here, that's currently town-owned, swoop down and actually connect to 3A via a new road that was called Industrial Drive, and the state was obligated to build that as part of the mitigation for circumferential highway. So there's right-of-way that still exists down there for that purpose. I assume that's all gonna go away. Well,
Doesn't that go
it
through
won't
a
go
neighborhood
away.
now?
Yeah,
It
so that's
goes
what
right by,
Selectman Lynch was speaking of at the last
Right.
Board of Selectmen meeting.
so where Noel
It's a
Tree
highway.
Farm is, the
Yes.
entrance there, that
That
is the
right-of-way.
right-of-way for Industrial Drive.
And it was leased for a number of years. And then that lease ended in 2021. So right now, it's not being leased and it's not being taxed. But it was taxed when it was leased.
So it's just kind of there.
You had that surprise at the tip 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, that's right,
So that road is staying there until
the
it
right-of-way.
gets purged,
right-of-way.
over time, right? It's still gonna show up on maps for a while.
I'm not sure you could,
Yeah,
though,
I th-
because it's the entrance, there's properties that need that right of way.
Well, there's
Or need that.
there are private rights, there's a private right-of-way for a house and for the farm and maybe one other property. And then there's a dedicated right-of-way, and I think it would take a town meeting action to undo that. And the state's role in it is, I'm not sure. I mean, I know they have the obligation to build it when the circumferential highway went through. I don't think there's any obligation beyond that, but I haven't looked at any of that stuff in many, many years.
So it's an existing right-of-way right now, that
It is,
town right-of-way?
yes. Yes.
The tree farm uses it.
Yes,
Majority of their gravel driveway is that right away.
yeah. And then it goes beyond. But presumably, the properties beyond probably have an interest in it, if not an easement in it. It's something we'd have to unwind at some point. Unless we said, golly, we want to see it happen, which would be a different story.
So was the plan also, we have the industrial park there, and was gonna go over to the red piece of land there, right? They were thinking malls or whatever before the bridge kind of went over.
commercial, yeah.
Right. 'Cause they were thinking there could be a mall down there or something, right,
Yep.
when the highway ramp came off, right? Yeah.
That's exactly
So
what
it's
they thought.
commercial today, it happens to be a farms on it, but it is commercial.
That's why there was gonna be an interchange at 3A, and so it was logical to think you'd have an industrial park over here, and you'd have a,
The big
you know,
ramps.
retail, you know, mall, shopping area, whatever. Needless to say, that's not gonna happen.
All right, so does anybody have any other items on this section? Do you need a hard copy of the, do you want a hard copy of the? Okay, all right, so why don't we go on to the next item then? I'm just gonna go through the portal here. I guess we are, well, let me see, the date and the time, so we're still gonna be working on the focus group here, right? We haven't gotten to that. We're about to embark on the focus group here. Do we want to go over the draft questions, or do you have any ideas on the focus group now? You were speaking about Zoom meetings before, or,
Yeah, I always have ideas.
okay, I know. So do we want to go over these questions, or?
I mean, whatever you guys wanna do.
All right, so Laura made some great questions last time. So, I'm not sure if you're gonna have a script and use these questions entirety or partially, you know. I didn't know if you had an idea how you wanted to do that, or you
For me?
want feedback from us. So say you have some Zoom calls or whatever we're doing face-to-face. Are we gonna use these questions, the way they are, or would you be more generic, or?
Oh, I
would
think
you-
it's up to you guys.
So, what are we- do we
But
wanna go
I
over
would
these
say, starting point
Mhm.
is in-person or Zoom, and how many people are you thinking? Because that's gonna really make a big difference, and if we think there's gonna be a lot of people, then it's probably breakouts into smaller groups, I'd assume, because usually for a focus group, you want it to be a small, intimate group. So I'm not sure if the thinking is, gosh, there's gonna be a lot of interest. There's a thought to in-person versus Zoom, or both, or, I don't know. I can say, for us, we have better participation for Zoom meetings. And you can do breakout rooms, you know, automatically assign people to different rooms. I think you have a better quality of conversation in person. So it's a trade-off, I guess I would say. Sometimes we do both. I think you get, more people seem to be able to make a remote meeting. It's just easier for a lot of people than to find a time to come in person. We always typically did a Saturday morning, and I'm finding attendance isn't great. You know, unless there's a burning issue, attendance doesn't tend to be great, because people have sports activities and like whatever happening in their lives. So we tend to get people that skew older, and we tend to get people who are really already involved. You still get that when you do it remotely, but you tend to get a few more. But I do think you suffer. It's just not quite the same as, you know, being in a small group of people, having a chance to have a real conversation. It's not, I don't think it's as good of a quality of conversation. So, I don't know, it's a trade-off as to what you guys think you'd rather do.
Is there a certain number that would trigger like breakouts? Like if you say, well, if we had like 20, then we should do a breakout, or
Yeah.
what would that number be?
I think that 5 or 6 people make a nice little group with a facilitator, and that more than 10 is completely unwieldy. So if you had If you had 10, 12 people show up, I'd say break up into 2 groups. But not 3. That's too few.
So between 4 and 6 is a good breakout group? Is that?
Yeah, I like 5 or 6. You can go a little bit more, and, you know, and that's still okay. If you have, you know, even 7 people show up, 8 people show up, it's a coin toss as to whether you really want to break out or not. You might not. It's always, you know, at that point, I don't think it's hard and fast.
So it sounds like Saturday morning is not the time to do it, right? We've done them at night before, and we've had
You
pretty
can
good
do them in the
participation.
evening too, yeah, absolutely.
So we sent out responses to the 300 people that wanted to be on. Did you get responses back on that?
Just a couple, so, we had one response that suggested using some type of app.
Okay.
And then we had another response just asking for more information on the time.
And you know, again, it's a commitment of time for everybody here, you know, who's gonna participate, cause you know, you're gonna have to have people facilitate it, and probably other people who wanna listen. But, you know, sometimes we, do both, just for that reason. Or we've also done in person, we'll do a Wednesday evening and a Saturday morning, realizing that different people might make one or the other, but it's more time. And then you offer the remote and the in-person, you could do that also. It's just how much commitment you want.
If you offer both, do you find people just go for the Zoom option, if you give them that option?
No, we found people who, you know, some people will sign up for one or the other, sometimes people sign up for both, and that's a little annoying, but you don't say no. And I tend to find also you get more people signing up and not showing up for the remote meeting. That still happens in the in-person meeting, but you also have the, I brought my husband for the in-person, so you'll get people who show up who didn't register.
The Zooms I've sat in on were much more lookers than they were participants.
You have
lot
that, yeah. That's why I said the quality of the conversation isn't as good, and
I
it's,
think it's harder when you're sitting there in a group not to participate.
exactly.
You feel committed to have to say something.
Yeah, and you can turn to people. If you're the facilitator, you look at them and you say something and you ask, and, you know, when you're doing it on Zoom, you kind of have to call on someone, and that's just not as, it's just not as good. And the whole point of a focus group is to really get a conversation going, to get people to feel comfortable and to engage them, and you just don't do that as well remotely. So it's,
I do a lot of this stuff at my work, and I would say that of all the facilitation sessions that we've done remotely versus in person, you get half of what you get from remote versus in person. There are people that just won't say anything on the phone. It's very difficult to engage.
Why do they call in? Mandatory to call in?
No, it's true.
No.
Sometimes breaking up into groups, then the people start talking.
No, so
They don't want to
people-
talk in front of 20 people,
Yeah.
but when they get in their little
We
groups.
go 8 max, from us is like about 8 max per group. After that, it just starts getting a little bit out of control, but if you can get 4, like you were saying, 4 to 6.
and there's also, I think, a sense of, you know, if you're doing it remotely, if you're doing it via Zoom, am I being recorded?
Yep.
I might feel less comfortable if I think that.
And do you find that incentives like pizza and gift cards make a difference?
Yeah, they do.
I would think, like, I would offer pizza, I would offer a $5 gift card to Dunkin' Donuts for every participant, it's just me.
It does, you know, it does make a difference.
I would think it would, because if I'm on the fence, like, oh, it's late at night, and I need to cook dinner, I know I have this focus group, but, oh, they're giving me dinner, and they're giving me Dunkin's.
Taco Tuesday.
Oh, yeah?
There you go.
I mean, when we were doing these kinds of things in more disadvantaged communities, we got a sponsor to give us $50 gift cards to a local gas station convenience store. And that was, I mean, that's a real inducement for people to show up, and we provided pizza.
I know, and I think those things are helpful.
Of course they are. They're a real incentive to show up. So yeah, if we could offer incentives like that, absolutely. Pizza's great.
Door prize.
I mean, this is more, I think, than we can handle, but also if you have something for the kids. You know, not childcare, but yeah,
No.
People are like,
Right.
oh, I'm here. Where'd you go? 2 hours later.
Peter can run that group.
for the kids' activity, I mean, that matter, because in-person means barriers, right? Anybody with small kids who needs to, that's a thing.
agree.
So the more barriers you can break down.
But
And
it
yeah,
happens
if you're
with the
offering
elections,
pizza
too.
and it's
We
at
actually
6
had
o'clock,
people taking care of
Right.
or
People aren't
participating with
worried.
kids, and I think we had a lot better turnout at the elections because there was some place for the little kids to hang.
yeah.
I think it makes a difference.
Absolutely. So if you think in person, then the other drivers is gonna be, you know, kind of where and how many volunteers can you get to facilitate? You want a facilitator for every group, of course. And probably at least one person who's, you know, not assigned to a group, but just kind of managing the whole flow. And then you want to make sure you've got a space big enough where you can break out depending on how many you think you're gonna get. Or cap it, of course. This room's not gonna hold many people.
You need to do it at Campbell or something, where you
Yeah.
can spread people out in the auditorium.
Cafeteria.
Hope we have that now.
Or
Yeah,
the cafeteria.
Yeah.
So I have a question. You had mentioned, so maps, pins, I read it, it's a active,
Yeah.
you know, group. I don't want to point you out, but you did mention it, it triggered my mind. If people can't come in, they don't have the technology of a Zoom, and they don't want to drive at night, or whatever we're doing, maybe it's day, can a manual thing be made up for them to fill out just as well? I'm just saying.
not really, because you did the survey.
But these are a different set of
So
questions.
this is a focus group where you want to dive deep into a few different questions. That's really conversational.
So
This
are
is,
you all right
this is
with
the,
that?
the start conversation.
Well,
Right.
Yeah.
All right,
when we first started this committee, we talked about doing 2 surveys.
yeah, we did.
Yeah,
Are we still doing the 2 surveys? Or is
you
this,
certainly could. I think
This
that
focus
was
group
the
and-
thinking.
yeah. Because I thought we were gonna take some of the questions that came from the survey, the answers, and kind of dive into those a little bit more.
We certainly can. I think we've all, I don't want to talk about everyone here, but I think I've seen us all are not sure how everyone understands economic development at this point in time. So it seems to be driving a lot of these questions we have here is why people respond to us this way, do they actually understand what we're talking about? Is we want to get past that barrier first before we do another survey. Am I reading everyone right in this case?
Yeah,
For the most part?
I think what we discovered from the focus groups will help inform
Right.
the nature of the next survey.
Okay, so
Okay,
we're adding a
perfect.
focus group now.
In the middle,
Yes,
I
we're
think
doing
that's
that today.
straightening things out, make sure everyone knows what's actually happening here.
Okay.
Because as I recall, one of the things that we had in kind of the original gigantic survey was there were all kinds of strategies that were talked about and kind of would you support, and then we decided, let's not go there. Let's get an idea more generally of what people want, but I think in terms of follow-up survey, that was kind of one of the things that I think we thought about was, would you support?
Right.
And then there was like a whole different kind of list of things. But there, I mean, the survey, just first of all, you know, I mean, the response was astounding. I thought it was really, really great, and there are definitely things that jump out. What is economic development, or what does that mean to you? I think clearly is important, because there was a lot of support for it, but I'm not sure, I think as everybody recognizes, we're not sure everybody thinks the same thing. And I also was really, I don't want to say that they're contradictory, because they're not necessarily, but I think everybody also saw the really, really strong response. I mean, what do people value most? They value the farmland, and they value open space. And is there a conflict there? There isn't necessarily, but those are two things that could be seen as conflicting. And how do you reconcile that? I think that would just be interesting to understand what people are thinking. The kinds of things people support, that's pretty typical. That's pretty much what you see everywhere. Everybody like coffee shops and, you know, et cetera. They like that kind of thing, so. But I thought it was really interesting responses.
And if we were to do a second survey, wasn't anticipating a second survey, I wasn't here for the initial meetings, I had another representative. If we were to do a second survey, I don't know how beneficial, or what that would entail, but if the group wants to, then I think our focus group should be focused on what that second survey would be, so we can direct questions to glean categories of what the questions will be on the next survey.
Yeah. Which is in here, kind of where questions 2 and 3 lead you. Without saying so, they kind of lead you to, okay, this is what we've got, you know, do we look at zoning changes? Do we look at, you know, some sort of incentives? What is it what strategies are we gonna put forward?
The thing with strategies, I don't know if people are familiar enough to understand strategies too. I think we talked about
that's
that
right.
before, like, common person may be like a TIF district, I have no idea what you're talking about. A zoning change, I don't even understand what that math means, so I think delving into strategies with people who are not familiar with land use, I think is gonna be problematic, and those results may be skewed, because people just don't understand or have that
It's true.
knowledge base.
But at some point, if it's something that's gonna go to town meeting, there's gonna have to be a bridge.
And I think that's why this group is here, because I think
Yeah.
we're the people that had that knowledge base to say, okay, if it's a regulation change, planning board, what do you think? If it's a zoning change, what have you seen on the zoning board? If it's something about recreation, you know what I mean? I think that's why we're all here, to kind of fill that gap.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
I think that was pretty obvious on that survey, because there were people who said, well, let's do some development. Okay, not big, huge retail, but just some development. But then we want farmlands, and we want open spaces, so it's like, sometimes it's gonna be hard to mix those two together. And so one comment that I've had from people is like, okay, you guys did the survey, so what happens now? And I try to tell them that it's not a process, it's going to be an overnight thing. It's like doing a master plan for a town, because you're kind of doing a mini master plan. You're saying, okay, well, people want this, let's see, where can we go? As you guys are developing that map, maybe we can't do what everybody wanted to do, but we gotta give them some feedback. Somewhere they've got to come up with understanding that this is a process. It may be only till September. I mean, it could be, I don't think we're gonna get this done by next week by any means, but I think that's one of the things. And we're living in a world where everybody wants things immediately. And we got really hyped up on that survey, and everybody's all excited over it and the results. And I think the public out there sort of thinks that we're kind of dead in the water on it. It's kind of my perception, people I'm hanging with. I was like, okay, what are you guys doing? Well, we're doing this, we're planning a focus group, we're planning this. Okay, but what are we gonna do about it? So the topic of the focus group's gonna have to be really on point to get people to come in.
Mhm.
That's gonna have to be absolute key on however you promote that focus group, that's gonna have to be really important to get people excited over again.
And to advertise it properly.
Yeah.
To get more than just the 300 if we can. All right, I'm gonna.
Focus groups, you're not gonna be able to handle 300.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna open up, public input. I was supposed to do it at 6:15. He's gonna be on our focus group. Anybody from the public wish to speak? All right, then I'm gonna close public input at 6:30 as well. All right, thank you.
Well, if I could just follow up on that last comment, I mean, there's all kinds of different things that you could do. But something I've seen done in other communities, and actually the planning board here kind of did this a couple of years ago when there were zoning changes that were proposed in the Northern Commercial District. And it was like kind of a lot of thought about what types of uses should we allow? How big should they be? Should we say no more than 10,000 square feet, no more than 5,000 square feet? What are all and so we actually kind of went through this, I wouldn't say formal process, but what does a CVS look like? How big is it? And, you know, this was all just different members doing research on the internet. What does a, you know, dock in the box, an urgent care? How many square feet is that? What does that look like? And just kind of coming up with those. But it really was a helpful exercise, because what I've seen happen in some communities is the focus is, okay, these are the kinds of things people are talking about. Bring it up on the screen. is this something you want to see in your community? Or this is how a CVS has been developed in these different communities, or this is the different ways they can look. You know, what works for you? Showing different types of development. We did that with mixed-use developments too, kind of ones that kind of tried to look like a traditional village. What do you think about this? If you see this apartment building, what's your reaction? What about this? And that can be really helpful, because sometimes it's hard in the abstract to think about these things. You know, how big is a market basket? Most people don't know, but you start, giving ideas and showing sizes, and that helps people think about, oh, I could live with that, or I like that, or absolutely not, I never want to see that in Litchfield.
And then you get the services that are required by those places too, sewer, water.
All right, so I think
That might
we
not
are
have been helpful.
stale, so I think we need to get our focus group going, yes? So we can all keep going with the town. All right, I don't know if we can do the draft questions maybe after. Do we want to start setting up date and times, method of facilitation? We could set up like that first, and then we can go back to the questions and nail that down, just so we have a plan. And please, everybody on the committee, jump in, okay? All right. All right, so dates and times. So first of all, we have to get the 300 people, hopefully they're going to want to take part in this, even if it's remotely, right? And you don't want a mass out there, you don't want 300 people showing up unless we get the high school, right? You were just saying it could be dangerous to have all of a sudden a lot of people as well, but it
Well,
has a
that's just
benefit as
dangerous,
well.
it's just a focus group is small group
Okay, so you
discussions.
just want the focus group. All right, so why don't we do
if you
that?
had 300
Sorry.
people showing up, you
Okay,
would have to
gotcha.
have, 40
We only have so many
focus
members
groups.
here to go ahead and run.
I know, so 300.
Point each one of the groups.
Everybody would have
so-
Yeah,
40
but we're all
people
gonna
in their
join the
group.
committee, all the committees are gonna just fill out the surveys in their families, right? All right,
But you're not
so
gonna
date
get
and time.
300. I mean,
No, we've got
Oh,
two,
we'd be
three,
ecstatic
and
if we had
four.
300 show up.
All right, so date and time. Do we have some date and times? Let's look at the calendars,
So
because
we
they're
talked
getting,
about mid-September,
let's take a look.
the dates, and we'd have
I
to,
do think you need to wait till school's back in session, when
Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Let me just grab
then we'd
that.
have to request the use from the school.
So are we thinking more of an evening?
it'd have to be
Okay, so
evening or
let me look at
weekend
the,
for the
we're pretty
school.
booked on
Yeah.
on all the rooms here, but let's take a look at that. So school goes back when? Is it like August 28th or?
Something like that.
Yes.
August 26th. And they have to settle in, and I know, yep. I'm not familiar with all the recreation items that I'm sure are going on at night as well.
I'm sure there are.
Yeah, so, all right. Let me just get to this here.
I'm sure there's that means there's gonna be a heat wave that week.
Of course, yeah.
Did you have experience with one day worked better than another? Obviously, Friday's probably not a great day, but do you have anything midweek?
Usually Saturday morning or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evening, depending on what else is going on.
All right, we only want to do one focus group, right? We're not going to do two, right? So it's not going to be a Saturday morning and a night, right? Is everybody
for
okay
one.
with that?
Let's try for one.
Go for one. All right, let me just call up the website here. Stupid character doesn't work here. There we go.
What time do most sports kick
Because everybody
in
has meetings
on a
on different days.
Saturday?
We need a room
They
that's
go all day.
going to work.
9 till 4 or 5 usually.
Why?
Yeah.
August, the cafeteria down there, the little cafeteria? No.
No, I can't,
Okay.
because then if you do have a large number, you do have places you can break them off into tables.
So Zoom, but if they're, so that's if they come in.
Are we doing Zoom?
Yeah.
Are we doing?
I think you'd want them to come in. I
Yeah.
think that's the decision
That's
that's
fine.
gonna be made.
I
It's-
think
To
so
me,
too.
it's in person or,
Yeah.
You okay with that? I'm
Yeah,
fine with
I
that.
would think it's
better
much
off.
better to be in person.
Yeah, I've had fun with it.
you're gonna be
Go in.
sticking
You get
dots
a lot
on
done.
maps, and people are gonna get sticky notes out, all that.
Well, I think
And the
it's all right
cafeteria
with
is
that.
great
Days have
'cause you do
better
have tables,
experiences
so.
with
Right.
in person, so.
All right, so I know they have
And get some budget to go
wrestling.
and incentivize with food, even better in the cafeteria,
It-
so.
And if nobody shows up,
We'll have pizza.
then we just march along, keep going with this group alone and a smaller focus group of people
Yeah.
that are interested. I mean, the train's gotta keep rolling down the track.
But get people to
Right,
register, so you've got a sense.
I think you'll get I think
You'll
you
get
can get
people.
20 people.
I think so too. You definitely will.
All
You've
right,
got a lot of interest.
September 18th.
18th is the only one
The
open.
18th is the school board meeting.
Is that a
That's a
NRPC?
Wednesday.
Just check.
So I'm looking for the school calendar to see if there's parent, teacher,
Right.
welcome,
School
all
calendar
that sort
here.
of stuff
Point
too.
I see something on the 10th, which is a Campbell Remote Learning, New Hampshire Primary Election.
Oh,
Don't want that, but I didn't see anything else for, I just saw the
Maybe
second,
you
third,
do.
and 10th.
What are you
2 for
looking at,
1 special.
September 18th?
Yeah.
Vote in the primary, talk a little economic development.
So if you hold it the 18th, then Peter would miss his. meeting.
NRPC is that night.
yeah.
Excuse himself, no? Yeah, you can miss a school board meeting on
About
the
the
18th,
seventeenth, no?
17th.
17th is a Tuesday. What's going on that? September, right?
Planning board.
So it would be,
It's gonna impact one of us no matter what.
Planning
Yeah.
board.
Yeah, they're gonna
Board's okay.
get everybody.
What about the 19th?
Heritage
conflict with you
Commission,
guys.
but it's not too many
And
people on
energy.
that.
Is that a Friday?
It's a Thursday,
That's
but
a
that, I have
Thursday.
Heritage Commission.
but if you went the 12th, then
I'm in the wrong.
there's nothing on.
Anything?
That's
So
true.
the only thing we'll have to check, which is not on here, is budget. So budget begins in September.
You're saying September 12th, Thursday, September 12th? Is that
Mhm.
okay? Well, we just want to check the school calendar, right?
Yeah, I'm
No
trying to
parent,
find it.
teacher, okay, Thursday, September,
September
September, I got it, hold on, September 12th. Which school? Do you want the middle school?
I do
the
Campbell
high
High
school?
School. I do the cafeteria in Campbell. We
Yeah.
have
So
tables
we have to
already.
ask permission on
It's fairly cool
Okay.
in there.
high school, so we'll have to
You
reach
have to
out
fill
to.
that school facilities form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so Campbell High School, September
Reach
12th.
out
What, do you have a time?
Ryan, I have to talk to him tomorrow.
I'd say no earlier than 6, quite honestly.
If people are
Yeah.
working,
Yeah.
6 PM. And they can, come in if it's in process.
6 to 8?
I'm just seeing if he has anything on the school.
Do you think the selectmen would be okay with us spending some money for food and drink?
I will ask.
No?
We'll ask.
A little
right?
pizza.
Yeah.
I don't know,
I mean, we don't have any budget.
yeah.
You can ask for donations
Yeah,
for
but
pizza.
We'll
Are
try-
we
we'll
allowed
try
to ask
donations,
for
though.
donations as this, I mean, can the town do that?
Let me see.
Well, the town can get sponsorships from
Okay.
Yeah.
local organizations. You don't wanna take cash donations from.
No, but like a
Oh, this is
business that
definitely-
sells pizza, can you say,
But
can we have
It's
five
definitely
pizzas?
a consumable items is
From
what would be coming
business
in.
I didn't mean
entities.
cash, I just meant like,
So if we
we
went
have a
to-
couple places in town that sell
So
pizza, so
method
say to
is
them,
face-to-face, right?
we have some pizzas.
Yep.
So we'll still wait to hear
talk
from
to
Peter
Keith.
on the school, but,
Yeah, he's still.
I
so,
gotta try to find the meeting
That's
that
what I
it
was
was in, so.
That's what I was
I gotta
thinking.
find the meeting.
oh, no problem.
That other
They're
one,
allowed.
Rock,
Yeah, I
is
can-
Yes, there you go.
Okay,
So the-
Yeah, it's not gonna be a big ask, it's gonna be
No.
Yeah, it's
5 pizzas.
All right, so method of
Probably more than-
facilitation, it's just face-to-face, right?
Yeah,
We'll bring in the maps and all that, right? Facilitator,
it was plural.
Yeah.
Right.
all right.
I think we all should be there.
I agree. All right, so we'll hone that in a minute. We have the questions that we'll go over next, right? Presentation materials and data, so let's talk about that. Let me just get my list over here again. I think it's not much, yeah, the questions, break into groups. How do we record the information? Somebody's gonna write it down, how,
Well, the
So
facilitator-
usually, well, or you ask somebody to volunteer to be the scribe in each one.
Right.
all right,
Usually you get the flip charts with the tear off
Yeah, do that.
sheets. I know we got a bunch of those. And an easel,
and people
You
do
know, for them.
drawings, yeah.
and the scribe takes the notes.
Got our cell phones, take the pictures.
And then I would say, depending on how many people,
Yeah.
you want some of these maps.
Yeah.
Copies of those maps would be really important.
I think you also bring some of your examples there, Jay, like what a mini doctor's office would be, what multi-use development would be,
Yep.
some photos with scale involved, so you can see what they're talking about to
Agree.
build this stuff versus, here's a random coffee shop all by itself. You know, it's not pragmatic, so.
Where are we gonna store all this information once we have the scribe and the photos? Do we have a directory or where we're gonna put all this in the portal? Where?
Yes.
Okay, we gotta
good
find a place
question.
for that, where we're gonna put it all.
Well, you don't have to have it forever, because usually what I wind up doing is I photograph all the sheets, so then you've got it digitally, and so then you,
Then compile it all.
right, and then you can get rid of it all and task somebody to, write
Just
it
gotta find
up.
a place to store it, then we can work on that.
So it's a temporary place to store.
Store what, the,
If people are taking photos of the pins and the maps, or, you know, whatever they're doing, or,
put them on the portal.
that's why I just asked if we could
Yes.
do that, okay,
Yes, we can.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, then everyone can look. All right, so that's good. All right, so the presentation of materials and data, I guess we're still collecting a little bit of the data, which is fine, but definitely the maps, right?
think
Anything
so.
else that we need? I mean, we'll bring in the renderings, right?
Yeah, just
We've did that, that was actually.
some
helpful.
examples to bring.
All right, and then, questions? Draft received by email, okay, that's what we have here, all right. Does anybody want to modify these questions, or tweak the questions, or do we just go generic? I mean, the ideas are here. I don't know, we don't have to, you know, make it perfect, but these will be what's at the focus group, right? We'll be honing in on these questions here.
Yeah, I think this would be a great way to get everyone talking in their groups, right? We can do a quick run through before we break out of what we're talking about today, and then break out in the groups. We all run the groups and
Do this.
do this to go through it all, and hopefully come back with some decent data at the end of it all.
Because we
So-
want to collect the same kind of
Yeah.
data, right?
Exactly. We all want to talk about the
We don't
same
wanna be
exact
everybody's
stuff.
having a free conversation
Focus
going
group
on.
should have the same topic.
And it might be worth just doing a quick PowerPoint
Yep.
on the survey.
I like
You know,
that.
these are the survey results, and here's, and we can, you know, that could get left up, and it can
Yeah.
rotate, whatever you've got.
I like the portal idea too, because people can go back and look at it if they missed
Yeah.
it, or, yeah.
I have a projector I can bring if we have to put up on the wall.
Yeah.
Town may have some stuff too, but whatever we need. Figure it out.
School must have that. Well, we might not be able to use it.
Yeah. We can use mine, not a problem. So.
Jay, is there any, that you know of, like, I'm just thinking, I'm sitting here thinking, well, what if people say, oh, we really want a Market Basket? But Market Basket might have a rule that, I mean, their own, policy that they're not gonna build a store within so many miles of all these other stores that they
Oh,
have.
they certainly do.
Right, and they're gonna want a certain base of customer.
Might wanna steer people away from some of these
Yes.
ideas.
Right.
You know, if they say we wanna have, I mean, because we don't know that a CVS would be interested in coming here because there's one here and there's one there and there's, you know. So
Yeah.
how do we try to hone down so that we can send people in a path that's realistic of what kind of businesses we can attract?
I wouldn't.
Just let them do their thing.
Let them do it, because you-
I understand.
then there's a danger of shutting people down, because then they
Right.
might think, oh, well, I won't say, you
Yeah,
know, I
won't
was
say
thinking of this, but, you know, I might feel dumb.
Yeah, like we'd like a hospital. Well, yeah, we're not getting one, but
Not
go
gonna
ahead.
get a hospital.
Okay. No, I understand though, just let them free form, yeah.
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 Kind of to that point, you know, these questions I like. I think it's a good starting point. It's meant to open up a conversation, but it's really the kind of the follow-up questions that I'm most interested in with where the conversation goes. And I'm wondering, and Jay, maybe this is a question for you. At maybe one of our future meetings, we can have like a 101 on facilitating a focus group if we're going to be the volunteers doing that, right? Because we don't want firm answers necessarily, right? We want to explore, like, why do you feel that way, or tell me more, and
Yep.
to kind of get the broad piece. But the temptation always is to, right, provide information. We have answers that we might want to share, and just kind of the tactical piece of how to facilitate this, because these questions are going to lead down paths we can't anticipate, right?
Right,
Where people
right.
go,
Right.
and how to navigate that.
Yeah, and that's important, and at the same time, there's gonna be a time limit, so you've also gotta keep people on time, and, you know, try to, whatever it is, we're gonna have 3 questions, 10 minutes per, or whatever, so, you know, there'll be a little bit of, that's also why it's good to have somebody walking around
Right.
the room, kinda saying, hey, you know, we need to, so you've got the big facilitator saying, you know, everybody should be on question 2,
Right,
you
right.
know, kind of a thing.
So how many people in our group have experience facilitating these kind of things?
I do it weekly.
I do quite a bit.
We got 3
I do.
experts.
Do it a lot.
Oh, so we have plenty.
Yeah, and there's some good
I'll serve the pizza.
standard kind of rules out there that everybody could get.
I've
You've
got a
probably
few
got
there.
them. New Hampshire Listens always kind of has there, these are our ground rules, and, you know, you be respectful, and everybody gets a chance, you know, those kinds of things that you just kind of run through.
Because they want to feel heard.
They do, and it's also kind of, it's always important to find delicate ways of if somebody's dominating, to try to bring out somebody else, you know.
Right, so
and-
that's the skill set that those of us that haven't done this before need to
Yeah,
kind of develop, because, you know, one person in the focus group can kind of run away with it.
easy.
Then everybody else feels intimidated to speak. I mean, I've been in groups where it felt like that. You know, one person seems to be the know-it-all, so that you just don't say anything.
Yeah,
So somebody has to, you know, close them down a little bit.
State of New Hampshire gives classes, New Hampshire Listens gives
Yeah.
classes, you can get a
Is that like an
certificate,
online
you can
class
get a
that,
certificate from UNH on it, you can learn it and almost anywhere.
yeah, and then there's little things
Then
people
it's
do.
just practice and experience.
A lot of people like icebreakers. I personally don't wanna, but a lot of people do. Like, what's your favorite ice cream?
Yeah, I
You know?
I'm not a
Tree, what kind of tree would you be?
Yeah, exactly. I don't
Let's
like
throw up
those.
bad jokes, get everyone talking, so
Right,
usually gets me
right.
there.
But it is always good to kind of go around and everybody introduce themselves and maybe say a word or two about why why did you come here tonight? You know, that's kind of a nice,
Yeah.
and that way everybody says something.
And if there is a game going on, they can come over, right? And partake.
So the other thing that, when you facilitate these type of sessions that we gotta consider is like, you're beginning with the end in mind. You know, there are some questions that we're gonna have to answer to the Board of Selectmen at some point in time. And there's probably a handful of fundamental questions. You know, one of them is, what do we do with the existing areas that we have right now? And is there the appetite to modify the current zoning regulations to open it up a little bit to things like mixed use or other types of uses that are out there? You know, that's a question that's probably got to be answered. The other question that's probably got to be answered is there an appetite to change the zoning around and slide things up or down or make things bigger or smaller? And when we go through these type of sessions, you got to kind of have those in the back of your mind so that you can answer whatever the questions are that we need to get answered. Otherwise, people are just talking and throwing ideas, but you've got to direct them in a way to make sure that we're achieving the ultimate goal, which is, what do we do with that map right there? What goes where? What do folks in town feel want to go in certain spots? What are they for? What are they against? You know, and so the point is here that you got to make sure that we know the underlying questions that we want to answer so that we can navigate the conversation to help answer those.
Because it has to be realistic, right?
Has
They
to be
want
real.
it, so they.
Are we getting a Walmart here?
What the cause and
Probably.
effect is, right? If you want this, it's gonna require zoning change to
Exactly,
this.
that's why it has to be
So
realistic.
get that point across.
Well, that's where you have to be really familiar with that map.
You could add that to number 3.
Number 3,
You could add a couple bullet points on to number 3 to get to the zoning piece.
You know, and another thing you can do in the PowerPoint, Jay, that you were talking about is other municipalities that are like Litchfield, might not even be from New England, you know, they've probably gone through this process, and, you know, what are we seeing out there? You know, what are the trends? You take Londonderry, you've got the mixed use over there by the Market Basket, you know, there are, you know, certain trends in zoning and development that are going on right now. You know, maybe get those out on the table too and see if they fit. You know, I travel around the country, it's mixed uses everywhere, big and small. I really like mixed use if there's a good spot for it, but, you know, but there are other things out there as well that we should probably just get on the table like you were mentioning.
Walkable communities is the biggest thing going on right now.
Oh, yeah.
People love that.
What is?
walkable communities.
Walkable
Oh,
communities.
right, okay, yeah.
So we can do everything in one small walkable space,
Area.
essentially.
You ever been to Short Pump, Virginia?
I have not, no.
It's right outside of Richmond. It's this whole town that just got stood up, and you can live there, shop there, you know, eat there, recreate there,
There you go.
and it's all like in a 10-acre area.
Aren't those called like 15-minute cities
They do
now?
that in Florida.
Yeah,
Something like
Yep.
that?
everything within
Drive the little
15
go-karts.
minutes.
There's a lot of
Yep. I'm just throwing this out there, but when we talk about the map exercise, is it better to use a zoning map? Or is it better to just use a plain parcel map of the town? The only reason I'm wondering, I don't have an opinion, but it just occurs to me that if we use a zoning map, that might be leading. I don't know, it's just a thought.
But it also shows where we are now.
It
and-
does.
And then what might be able to change if we want changes. Whereas if you have a blank map, you don't know where you are now. There's no starting point.
It's just that most of what we see in the southern part of town that's commercial and industrial is farmland.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, well, people realize that, I guess, when they see.
That could
Well,
be
we
our
can call
job
that
as,
out.
yeah,
Saying,
Yeah, we
look,
can
this-
call that out,
this piece
that's
is-
true,
that'd be part of our job.
right.
It's like we have a plan, huh?
A lot.
Something.
All right, so let me just go back to that date, because we meet before then, right? So we're looking at September 12th, but we meet at the end of this month, right?
Yeah.
July 31st.
July 31st.
Jim, I'll find the calendar, I can't find it, under pressure.
I'm sorry.
It's not posted on the district website yet, so.
And shocking.
Do you think, what would be the worst showstopper on the calendar? that would
It might
impact
just
us?
be if there's like parent-teacher conferences, or they get to know, you meet the teacher night, or that type of thing, where you get a lot of
Too
attendance,
busy.
especially with the middle school and the NGMS.
Peter, you looking for the 2024, 2025 school calendar?
Yeah. That's not us.
And I can actually make that, cause that's an extra Wednesday.
You can be our overall head coordinator then.
It is, last day of the month.
Can you make it?
Yeah, I
Travel.
can make the 31st.
Oh, yeah, for our regular meeting.
So what do you
yeah.
see on that?
Yeah, I can. It's a Tuesday.
There's
though,
nothing on the
16th,
18th.
right?
We're talking about the 12th.
Oh, I can make the
Nothing on the
12th.
12th either.
Alright, so
No, that's today. Wait a minute.
And Jay can make the 12th, which is,
he can be our overall head facilitator.
Well, I thought
We'll
this-
break down the
It's a
groups.
Thursday.
so,
Good, except for the budget, right?
It's fine with budget, I just checked.
For the 12th?
sounds like the 12th is
looking
firming up
pretty
here,
good.
right?
Yeah, the 12th looks pretty good.
Oh,
Good.
nice.
Alright.
So our next meeting, I'm not saying we do a
31st.
dry run, we're not gonna do that, but we've just talked about this more in detail of what to do, and,
Yeah,
Get
but you
this more
definitely wanna have a
fine-tuned.
planning meeting, so.
yes,
Yeah.
so.
I
You know,
can-
I'll
I can
double
speak
check with the group.
superintendent
Check with the group.
tomorrow.
I'll check with the group to make sure that they don't.
And then write down our goals, like Jay said, as far as what our cause and effects are based on what we choose, and people kind of walk into, so we kind of know where we're going with this whole thing.
Right, what do you wanna get out of it, I think that's right.
Exactly.
It's real to them, yeah.
So as we drive the groups, we have in the back of our mind what we're trying to do here and what notes we're trying to take to present later on.
So we've got all the emails, right, from the people who said they'd be interested in participating in a focus
We
group?
do.
So then that could be, once we're ready, then we could send out that invite. That's
Yes.
great. That's really great.
Did you wanna come up, because you were reaching out to a different group, was it like Knights of Columbus, or?
I did, to the Knights of Columbus.
Yeah.
Really didn't seem to be any interest there.
Okay,
I mean, there are a lot of knights from different areas, I mean, Manchester,
Oh, right.
Bedford,
Okay.
that are still in our council, but, I didn't get the feel from anybody that, I could reach out again, I'm not opposed to doing that and helping out. I could send it out again.
well, I think we're all gonna reach out to people, right, neighbors and all that, if we can, right?
Mm-hmm.
So should we consider some of the same avenues we did blitzing for the survey?
What do you mean by
Like-
blitzing?
Putting it at the town hall,
Yeah, we
putting
can make posters.
posters up,
Right.
maybe some of the
Facebook,
restaurants
web,
at Romano.
whatever,
or
make sure we've
something.
got, wherever Tim can get us.
Again, we're fighting with focus group versus
Well, you just want to make sure that there's a place, a way for them to register.
Right.
a register. You wanna go through a registration process?
No registration, an online registration.
You
Or
have
a sign up here if they have to come, if they want to come in person to do it.
Do you have a cutoff on it? You just want,
Give them a week before.
Well, I mean, it's going to be, how many facilitators do we have?
right?
Right? How many people can the room hold that we're using? Cafeteria is probably going to hold a lot of people.
Yeah, it's good size.
So if you're thinking, you know, somewhere between 5 and 8 people per group, let's say if 8's the max, how many facilitators do we have? Do the math, that's our max.
That's maybe 50
60,
people,
yeah.
50, 60 people.
Yeah.
That's a good turnout.
think that'd be great.
That would
I'd be
be,
surprised if we
I'd
got
be
that
very
many.
surprised if you got that high.
If you
But
got
you
20,
would,
I think it would be good.
I think that'd be awesome, yeah.
but you know, but you do want to set a cap, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Do we wanna close registration in anticipation of our last meeting, so we can really focus on how we're gonna run the meeting? Cause our last meeting is August something, right?
Should be, yeah, should be there.
End of August?
Yeah, definitely.
28th, right?
It's a pretty good idea.
So if
So
we
that's when
close,
school, that's like the first day of
Yeah.
school.
so if we close registration that Monday before.
That'd give us almost 2 weeks, so yeah.
That's a
if
good
we close the
idea.
Monday before, and then when we meet that last time, then we can kinda have a good handle of the numbers and how we're gonna divide it up and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so when we close the day or two before then.
So push that out the middle of August.
When is our August meeting? When's the August meeting?
The 28th?
28th, on Monday?
Yeah, so close, no,
Wednesday.
Wednesday. So if you close it on the 23rd or the 26th, maybe
Yes.
the then you'll know, you'll have your numbers.
If we close it on the
that's not too
26th,
far.
26th gives you
so
2
Monday
days.
gives you that
It's
last
so
weekend,
jittery.
that last final
Yeah.
push.
Yeah, I think
there
that's
we go.
great.
Close it on the 26th.
So close sign-ups by the 26th.
Okay,
So when do we start advertising it?
Now.
Like the
Now.
15th?
Do we need to find out if we can
Yeah,
get
I mean,
we
donations
need-
first, so we can
and
put
get
on
the
there like.
room.
Nobody's paying
I'm
attention to
speaking
anything
with the
in town.
superintendent on another item.
Jason
They're
tomorrow
not.
morning.
I'd
can
wait
ask
till-
Because we're
him.
gonna,
Jason,
Wait
We
till
still
the
gotta
middle of
confirm the
August.
room and all
Get us
that.
pizza.
the room, you know what I mean?
You know if
I
you
don't
can
if
get
there's
us
staff
pizza.
involved.
Oh, I'll ask Keith when I go down there.
We
on-
can put the tables and
There's
chairs
two-
back,
there's-
you know, but I'm
there's
just,
two
I'm not expecting
custodians on.
It's
anybody to mess the room up
They've
that
gotta
bad.
have a
only like
janitor, right?
10 people.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
I'll donate the drinks
Me.
and the plates.
I'll make a donation.
I'll help you with that.
The-
Yes,
So.
So we're
we
thinking
can
the
start-
28th,
We can
6th.
get a QR code and online
That's our next regular
registration
meeting.
When are we thinking
together
about
and
doing
start
this?
with posters. We
September
can put it in the
November
newsletter,
12th at
which
6.
comes out the first day of the month.
High school calf.
Get it on the website. We'll just need a few days to get this together.
And are there any people that we don't want? I mean, because I have a Heritage Commission meeting this week, and I'll try to recruit my members if they're okay to sign up. Well, I don't know, I'm just asking, because I don't wanna have people sign up and then have you say, well, oh, they can't be on a committee in the town and sign up for this, we want other people. I
The
don't know.
focus group is different though. It's not like a
I
committee.
just asked the question, that's all.
Right.
I think they should come.
I do
Ideally,
too.
it's people who took the survey, but it doesn't have
Right.
to be,
Yeah.
Oh, I think they all did.
probably. A significant percentage of people in town took it.
Yeah, it would be nice to have people that took the survey that we may not hear from on a normal basis.
Right.
So did we cap this off at a number of people?
Yes,
50,
it's-
60, somewhere in that
it's
ballpark.
Number of facilitators times 8 maximum.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
I think so, yeah.
Please.
The Q and R code, can that go to the 300 people? In an email?
Yes, yes, it can. You can go in an email.
Yeah.
Which we appreciate. Wow, we're firming up here. We happy? I'm happy.
So I'll confirm with the superintendent if everything is okay, September 12th, 6 PM at Campbell. And if that is okay, we will start preparing the materials,
Building,
the
parking. yeah.
QR code and the posters and the
think-
online registration.
But I think 6 is too early.
You think 6 is too early?
Was
People
for
getting
me.
out of work?
I mean, I don't know.
I think that's the earliest we could do it. No, definitely no earlier than that.
No, I would have done, I'm
Would you
thinking I
like
should
it
do
later?
6:30 instead.
Good.
6:30.
Yeah,
6:30.
6:30, maybe people get home and.
I think 6:30 gives people that extra little amount.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I was literally running out of work.
Yeah.
All right, and then when we meet in August, we'll start looking at the data that came back, but later, yeah. Is everybody happy with where we are?
Sounds good.
I think it looks great. Is there
I think
anything we
that's a
need
lot
to
of
do to
progress.
prepare? Just gathering materials, and we'll go over that next, on July
Yeah.
31st, but just so we're ready to go that day, you know, show up ready. All
And
right.
should we put together like an outline to review for next meeting, like how the focus group is gonna go? Like people arrive at 6:30, is it pizza, like
Alright.
6:30
Want an
to
itinerary?
something, 7 o'clock, opening remarks, I don't know. Just kinda go through and,
Okay.
I don't mind putting together a draft one for people to look at.
Like an itinerary of.
Yeah, just kinda like a roadmap.
Loose agenda.
It's fine?
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Because there's different way, I like randomly assigning people as an example, so you know, you come in, you are a 1, a 2, a 3, or
Yeah,
whatever,
right.
or you're a yellow, a green, a
Yeah.
purple.
Jay, do you have any of that predetermined examples of buildings, types, sizes already in digital format?
To find them.
If you can't, let us know. We can start
Okay.
looking around.
I'm sure I can find some. Probably could find some last time we went through that.
Okay.
All right, so I'll go back to the agenda then. Next meeting is July 31st, 2024. We already have our next agenda items, I believe, right? Does anybody else have anything they want to add, or? No? Good? All right. Well, if somebody wants to make a motion to adjourn, we can be done. We have a, first by Jeremy,
I'll make a motion to adjourn for the evening.
I second it.
second by Connie Jackson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. We will see everybody, I guess, on July 31st.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.